ready, crank up the volume. Feed your cat. Allow me to introduce you to the host of the show. Here is Ryan Crow.
Hey, people. Welcome to another episode of American Psycho. One of the most fun and enjoyable things that I do in my life, and I'm really happy to have some guests here tonight. Really good friends. The band is called Jupiter Ignition, and we're in fact sharing this show with the only other person who has been on it just as much as me. That is Mr. Lance Tamanaha. He's the drummer not only for this band, but was also playing drums on the song you're hearing in the background right now, American Psycho. So my brother in rhythm, my brother in arms, Lance Tamanaha. Let's talk about who else is in the band and around the room. Let's start on my left, which would be everybody, so go ahead and everybody talk all at once. Directly over on my left, this is JB.
Hi, how are you?
Oh yeah, I gotta bring up your mics, maybe so we can hear you.
Thank you.
It's been that kind of night. So again, this is JB. JB, what do you do with Jupiter Ignition?
I'm a vocalist, songwriter, and
Philanderer.
all around, philanderer, bringer of goodwill.
And next to him is Rob Nishida.
Hey.
And Rob, what all do you do inside of Jupiter Ignition?
I play guitar, I write songs, and that's it.
Oh, that's it? That's all? Okay. And next to you is, once again, Mr.
Lance Tamanaha.
That's right. And you?
I only play drums.
That's it.
That's it.
And next to you, you can just do sign language if you don't want to talk.
I'm Tony. I just played the bass guitar.
Tony just plays. No, that's that. Liar. We're gonna get to that in a minute. So, you guys have been playing together for how many years? Because, I mean, you guys are all old friends.
Actually, 7 years already we're trying to figure out.
Wow.
Yeah, but, even further than that, Rob and I have been playing together for 26 years off and on.
Shit, you guys lasted longer than both of my marriages combined.
Yeah, even though we're only 34 years old. Yeah, long time.
Very cool. So how did all that come about? How did you guys end up, I certainly know a bit of the history between the two of you, but how did the four of you come together to create this?
Well, it started with me and Tony, actually. Tony and I got together in 2006, and we decided to put a band together. And we started auditioning singers. Mm-hmm. And after auditioning a bunch of guys that didn't really, fit the mold. They sucked. We had the opportunity to audition JB.
Uh-huh.
And, he was just the right guy at the right time. And
so let's, I don't mean to interrupt. Yes, I do. Let's examine that for a second, because in Los Angeles and just in the music community, let's face it, there's 5 bazillion people out there. What was it that initially the two of you guys were talking? What was it that was like, oh, there's enough going on here, let's start a band? Because that's not a mild undertaking. So what was it that brought you guys to that point? Tony? Told you.
Rob.
Get in there, Tony.
Rob.
All right. Well, I think Tony and I hit it off. We really did. And we knew that there was a connection there. It was immediate. And we decided right off the bat to audition some people. Mm-hmm. We auditioned all kinds of guys, Eskimos. I'm not joking.
That's actually the truth.
It's the truth.
Nothing against Eskimos.
Nothing against Eskimos, but all kinds of people. And
but none of the tone was very warm. Sorry.
Bucket of fish.
No, seriously, bucket of fish. That's what they eat. That's
But we were serious about it, from the start, and we auditioned a bunch of guys. And when JB came in, it was obvious that he was a guy that was not only going to be a singer, but he was going to be a guy that was going to contribute.
I want to clarify. Now, we're talking about JB, this guy here. Was it a bottle of JB that you brought in to...
It was a bottle of JB that we brought in. Yeah, it was...
All right, cool.
The alcohol played an important part in this whole process. No. It was JB. He came in with this whole thing, where he really made the songs better than they were.
Okay.
Because we had some songs. Tony and I had worked on some songs. And, they were at a certain level. JB came in and took them beyond where they were.
Took us someplace else.
Let me add something to this, because this is really interesting, because Tony is the bass player in this band now. When they're first getting together, Tony was the drummer in this band.
That's right.
Get the fuck
so
out.
It was them two, him on drums. This is how talented this guy is. So he on drums, Rob on guitar, and then they started auditioning bass players. And that one of those bass players that came in to audition was JB's friend. And JB happened to come in. Yeah, that guy didn't get the gig. Sorry, but JB did.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it ended out with this guy Andrew that was playing bass in the band that I was playing with beforehand, and it was named Brothers of Io, and we had been playing for about 4 years together, and he was actually our most recent bass player for that band. And then we, as bands do, they break up and have big fights and all that kind of stuff. So
except this one,
actually. And so he was looking for other gigs to kind of try out for and bands to check in with. So he answered an ad with these guys. Played a couple of sessions, I remember correctly, and then asked you guys if you were interested in a vocalist coming around. And so he asked me if I'd like to come through, check out a session or two, and it was at Rob's house, in his studio at his house. And we met over there, and they played a couple of the songs. Or actually, I got a few tracks beforehand. They gave me a couple tracks to listen to see if I even wanted to come try out. And
all right, so what was it that you heard that you went, oh, that?
Well, Rob's pretty badass guitar player.
This is true.
Off. I mean, he's really, really good. He's got.
Yeah, we're gonna geek out on guitar stuff in a bit. Don't you worry.
And the way that the songs were put together was interesting to me. I had come from playing previously with the band before, where I'd played with the guy that tried out for them. It was basically like a hip hop and hard rock crossover band, and don't think Limp Bizkit or anything like that. It was hopefully we thought it was better than that, but we've been playing around a bunch, and I was rock guitarist and vocalist, so it kind of went from there. My ideas of rhythmatic, like cohesiveness, like things that make sense as far as like a song, the progression of a song,
right?
That stuff
takes you from one place to another.
Yeah, it's all a story, right? It should start someplace and take you somewhere else and give you the back line in the middle. And so that all of those things were there. It just didn't have any lyrics. There weren't any vocals that were present at that point. So it definitely had flavor to begin with, stuff that I was interested in right off the bat. So I came out and I tried out with them. The guys were really personable, really cool to me, and
these guys?
Yeah, funny enough.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
I know, hard to believe.
And I mean, any of us that have been in any of the tryout scene in LA, especially, it's like you'll try out, you'll go to a band, you'll do a rehearsal or something like that, and it's a lot of times the vibe is really weird. You end up and
I mean by weird, it's like super awesome.
Yeah, super. Really want to do it again 100 times.
I don't want to be in a band. I just want to try out. It's that cool.
Yeah. So these guys were different. They were right off the bat. They were really cool to me, really welcoming. And I pretty much that first session, they kind of said, "Okay, well, I think there's something here, and we should try this again." And I was down, and it just took off from there. We just kept meeting, and it never ended.
I just kept showing up. All right, so we established the three of you. Now, I know that you guys have a long history, but when was the point that you guys went, well, let's get Lance in to play drums?
Well, that's an interesting thing, because I kind of glossed over it, and Lance brought it up. But yeah, Tony was playing drums initially. And Tony's a great drummer. And the reason why Tony was playing drums, although he's a fabulous bass player as well,
yeah, he is
because he was playing bass in another band already. And so this was an outlet for Tony to play drums. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this was your outlet to play drums initially, right? And so the idea was Tony would play drums, I would play guitar. We're going to find a bass player and a singer. Well, we found our singer. We thought we had a bass player, but, it didn't work out. But JB was obviously the guy we were going to wrap this whole thing around.
Right.
It was obvious. And then I realized, okay, well, it's going to be difficult to find a bass player for this project because, we tried a little bit.
We tried out a bunch of guys.
Yeah. But we realized these guys that we've tried out, I mean, they're not even in the ballpark,
I so know what that's like.
I'm sure Tony was trying to keep quiet because he wanted to keep playing drums in the band. It's like, I know I can play bass in this, but I'm not. I want to play drums. I want to play drums in this. So.
And I think, I mentioned Lance at one point to Tony, I think, and I'm a little fuzzy on this. If I'm wrong, correct me.
Saw that bald dude,
Tony. But
I had hair at the time. 7 years ago, I had hair. No, I think I just happened to ask Rob what he was up to during that time too, because we always kept in touch. And he's like, I think I might have this project, going. So our drummer actually plays bass, and he wouldn't mind maybe if there was another drummer that could fill it, because they could not find a bass player to save their lives. So I was like, yeah, let's I'll check it out for sure. Because Rob and I have worked on different projects over the years, many different projects, and I kind of I just happened to ask him right at the right time, and he's like, yeah, why don't you come in and check this thing out? So that's what happened.
That's right. Yeah, you did ask me. Yeah.
It took us to
Yeah, I mean, complete admittance here. I've known Lance. I've known all these guys for a while, but played with Lance, done some session work, and was the drummer we brought in for 01. And yeah, you bring Lance in and you go, oh shit, a drummer. Oh, that's what that's like. Oh, like you get from 1 to 4, and then he does it again, and it's consistent. Holy shit.
Wonder wonders.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man. But seriously, all the stuff that I was listening to that they had done already, Tony's work was amazing. I just pretty much copied what he did.
See,
seriously.
I have no doubt, because, having heard you as a bass player and you're a bad motherfucker, as you sit there quietly, told you. A tremendous bass player, and I know the difference.
Yes, you do.
So here's what I'm thinking. I think it's time to actually play some Jupiter Ignition. I think what we need to do is play the title track off of your current release, which is Blister Burn, Blacken and Peel, or as I like to call My Last Divorce.
Oh, shit.
I think we should play that track because it is a bad. In fact, I know that we've played it here previously on American Psycho, but I think we need to play it again with some more dramatic focus. So let's move this up to the track list thing here. Make sure, dear God, let the technology work. It has been technological nightmare here this evening. Oh my goodness. So yeah, this is Jupiter Ignition with Blister Burn, Blacken and Peel. Check this out. Enjoy it as much as I do.
broken and just feel away. You're so far from the comfort yet, but closer to what is real today. And then champions to break all the seals of yesterday and fight to get to that deep end and watch as your pleasures waste away. Every moment of the day, now don't you fight the day. Oh, don't let it waste away.
Well, what a bad motherfucker that was. Nice work, gentlemen.
Thanks, Brian.
So, you guys were saying, so you've actually, where's that song? How long ago did you guys track that?
Oh boy, that was
1873.
2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
originally tracked. The first couple tracks on that were about 3 years ago. So yeah.
And so, yeah, you were telling me you're actually still messing with some of the vocal arrangement and
Yeah, we're still messing with that stuff, writing new stuff.
Yeah, they progress all the time. Like as we go through rehearsals and stuff, we definitely still add almost every session we add something or go back over something to sweeten it up a little. Or
the evolution is never done.
Yeah, Lance has been doing a bunch more vocals.
Yeah, and then sometimes.
Oh no!
Yeah, I know. Yeah, sometimes I'll listen to something and I'm like still not happy with the way it came out, and it's like I'm not opposed to changing arrangements and trying to make it better, and we've done it, and it's like, yes, sometimes we do come up with something better.
Cool. So I'm going to take a slight left turn here, and I'm going to we're going to do a little guitar geek out for a moment. Now we're going to get to you. There's something in that black bag for you, Scarecrow. So Rob Nishida, I met years ago through Lance, and Rob, you actually used to be the head of artists and representation at, we'll say Hoshino, but let's for the white folks out there, this is Ibanez Guitars, Tama Drums. What else?
That's right. Yeah, I did artist relations for Ibanez and Tama for about 15 or 16 years. Yeah.
So you hung out with some of the great and illustrious.
I did. Luckily, I was very lucky to do that. Yeah, absolutely.
So, in doing all of that, so I mean, obviously, you sort of rose into that probably from the standpoint of being a guitar player. I would assume that played in there somewhere.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so, did any of that? I mean, did any of that ever influence your playing? Did you ever get to speak with some of, I mean, probably having hung out a bit with guys like Steve Vai, with Joe Satriani, etc. Was there ever a moment or time to talk shop and have that sort of eke its way into influence your playing at all?
Oh, there's no question. Watching those guys play and being a part of some recording sessions and rehearsals, things like that, can't help but be influenced. It's just an amazing.
I'm filled with jealousy.
Amazing experience. Yeah,
that's
very
so
lucky.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's we're gonna geek out about gear for a minute, and then we're gonna talk about your gear, because we will absolutely we interviewed Rob one of the early seasons last year after the NAMM show with your company Magic Box, and we'll get to that shortly.
Awesome.
But so right now, guitar of choice, amp of choice. What are your weapons of choice when it's time to go out onto the stage and put the foot in the audience's butt?
Well, for guitar, I'm very partial to PRS guitars.
Yeah.
And I still use some Ibanez guitars because, I've been associated with them for so long. And
they're actually good, too.
Yeah, they're great. And some Fender guitars as well. Mm-hmm. And as far as amplifiers go, I've always been a Marshall guy, so I'm using a Marshall DSL a lot of the time.
Okay.
But I also love the new technology, like the Axe-Fx.
Right.
So I'm using stuff like that as well. So it's a mismatch.
Very cool.
And of course, because it's my own company.
Magic Box Pedals.
Magic Box Pedals. And
use one of those,
Yeah. Awesome.
so let's talk about that. So what was it that, so tell us a bit about, so what are the different pedals under the Magic Box? And by the way, this is what, MAJIK, am I correct?
That's right. Yeah.
That's right. You know what? I would have normally flunked a spelling bee with that, but in this case, so what are the different pedals under the Magic Box label, and what made you think I need to make pedals?
Well, it started, while working at Ibanez. I was involved in the R&D of a lot of different pedals there. And, there were a lot of compromises made, because being a multinational company, you make compromises.
Sure.
And I always wondered what it would be like to make some pedals without compromise.
Right.
And, the genesis of the company starts from there. Mm-hmm. And, we were lucky enough to have guys like Paul Gilbert and Doug Aldrich from Whitesnake and Monkey from Korn and a lot of other guys that I worked with back in my days at Ibanez come on board as Magic Box endorsers. And, I was able to, take a lot of the ideas that maybe could have been utilized at Ibanez, but, weren't, and, put them into Magic Box products.
No, and from just a player standpoint, I mean, I've recently been in a position where I was thinking, all right, if I had to go do a road gig and maybe not have a choice of what amp or cab that I could bring my guitar, but I had to figure out another way to do something. My first thought was grabbing the Rocket Fuel, which is what the pedal you worked on with Doug Aldrich, right?
That's right.
Like, if I took one of those and even just a delay pedal, I could show up to just about any gig I could think of, plug my guitar into those in front of any amp and any cab, and while, yeah, it's a distortion pedal with a boost, it's like plugging into a great amp. It really is. I mean, and I think that is an absolute testament to what it is that you've achieved, because I plug into a lot of other pedals and it's like, that's Fuzzbox. But
yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I wouldn't take the Rocket Fuel, actually.
Really? What would you take?
I would take...
I'd take a Line 6. No. Holy shit!
No, I would take the Filthy Lucre, which is our...
Another great one.
Which is our... Marshall in a box type of pedal.
Uh-huh. The funny thing is, that would be sort of probably choice number 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would take another boost pedal, like maybe the Venom Boost. Mm-hmm. Or maybe...
Which is like a clean boost, right?
Very clean boost. Or maybe the Body Blow, which is a very versatile overdrive.
No, the Body Blow is a chick that I knew back in '89.
And I think we'd have I hear you. I think it would have a great gig, great rig, because guys like Victor Johnson from Sammy Hagar's band, that's exactly what he does. Nothing against the Rocket Fuel. The Rocket Fuel is a great pedal, but it's really meant to be sort of a additional EQ and boost in front of a Marshall amp.
See, that's kind of, because I know that it's sort of like, I remember you telling me it's similar to like a Furman Parametric and sort of that slightly cocked wah thing, and it's like, that's so much where my ears go, and I think that's probably why I go for that.
I understand.
And right now there's people at home going, Furman cocked wah? Are we into gay porn here? What the fuck is he talking about? Who's Parametric?
And what does she do?
So you also guitar company, right? Is that Origin Guitars still rolling about?
It's still happening. We're not. I should say that it's going very
tentatively.
Yeah, that's probably
Not that many guitar players are that rich.
Yeah.
That is a problem. I mean, I remember
high end, yeah.
look at it. Well, which, you know what? I mean, a lot of great guitar companies start off that way. I mean, PRS, let's face it, Paul Reed Smith got started being very, very high end. Still is, can be. Tom Anderson, another one, and you know what? Probably a tougher market today than maybe it used to be. But let's at least talk about, I mean, I remember reading and looking at the specs and going, fuck, I want one. And I remember talking to you saying, I said, fuck, I want one. He goes, yeah, I want one too.
Exactly.
Can't afford to just
I
give it
have
away.
one now. I have one now.
Yeah?
Oh, you do?
Cool,
But,
can I borrow it?
Only for a price.
But the bottom line is they're very expensive. They've been on a lot of records. They've been on Korn records. They've been on. I brought it to Marty Friedman, who used it on his latest solo record. It's been Marty's used an Origin on probably the last 3 records he's done.
Wow.
But it's also on the newest record that he's done, the main 7-string on that record. Continues to be, used by artists. But, bottom line is, we haven't been able to make very many of them.
Right.
And they're very expensive.
So, but at least what is some of the technology behind it? Because that was one of the things, I mean, as a guitar player, I remember reading about it going, shit, I would have never thought of that. I mean, in terms of how you've got the neck bolted on, how the things that actually make it sound and resonate the way that it does.
Yeah, the main thing, is for that type of guitar, I've always felt that a bolt-on guitar makes the most sense. And, to me, it's very common for that type of guitar, especially 7-string guitars,
Sure.
or longer scale guitars, to be made in a neck through body construction. But they always sound very mid-rangey.
Right.
As a rule, and they don't have the bottom that you'd like to have. And bolt-on guitars always seem to be the best way to build those type of guitars. But
I so agree with you.
but the bottom line was, a lot of the bolt-on guitars that were made, especially for the metal market, were made without neck plates.
Okay.
And it seems like a minor thing not to have a neck plate on a guitar. Just to have screws holding the body onto the neck.
Right.
But it's a major thing. It really is. And it was brought to light to me by actually Paul Gilbert.
Really?
Who told me that, all his guitars that had a neck plate sounded better than guitars that had no neck plate, that had the screws directly into the from the body into the neck. And these were all 6-string guitars, but I had him bring in some guitars.
Okay.
To show me what he was talking about. And he was absolutely right. There's no comparison.
So, boys and girls, if you don't have a neck plate, go out and get one.
Exactly.
If it'll make your guitar sound better, you know what? Maybe stick one on the back of your spouse. They'll sound better to you. Your kids will get better grades. Just stick a plate on the back of their neck. All right, bad parenting.
Everything's better with microchips.
That's right.
Not only that, the more screws, the better.
Uh-huh.
I totally agree with that.
Yes.
And not only that, the denser the material, the better for the neck plate.
That's what she said.
So we used
Hardwood.
no.
It had hard and wood.
No, I'm wrong.
We used aircraft aluminum.
Really?
And it makes a huge difference.
That's so. So ideally, I mean, while it's proven to be a tough nut to crack, any plans or ideas how to find a way to sort of move that name forward and maybe get more eyes and ears on it?
We'll see. If the demand is there, we'll do it.
Right.
Going to advertise on exciteradio.com.
It's funny. I was just thinking. So everybody out there, if you are a guitar player, seriously. So is there a website that people can go to, or simply a Facebook page? If somebody is out there, you're a guitar player, and you are interested in this sort of, seriously, great kind of guitar, how would somebody go take a look at that?
OriginGuitars.com.
There you go.
And if you're into checking out the pedals, MagicBoxUSA.com.
That's another one, and by all means, you should. So let's do this. We're going to play another track off of your CD, and then we're going to take a brief commercial break. I think it's been this kind of a week. Murderdrome sounds good to me. Sound good to you guys?
Let's do it.
Yes. All right. So once again, this is Jupiter Ignition and their song Murderdrome. Check this out.
Your source for new, used, and vintage equipment. Carrying acoustic, electric, guitars, bass, amps, banjos, mandolins, accessories, apparel, books, and memorabilia. with popular brands from Electron, Dean, Delta, Epiphone, Fender, Gibson, Wretch, Hill, Hoffner, Martin, Nurnik, Olympia, Rickenbacker, Roland, Steel, Taylor, and Trujo. Visit NormansRareGuitars.com or stop by our Tarzana location at 18969 Ventura Boulevard. The pro shop here, you should too. Norman's Rare Guitars.
All right. So that again was Murder Drone by Jupiter Ignition. So kind of a slamming song in the most mild sense of the term, like, you know, slamming in the way that getting your head hit with a brick is mild. So what is the nucleus and genesis of that tune? There seems to be a lot going on there.
Basic idea behind that one was a little bit of history. It comes about from the early days of racing, actually, and not that I'm a big racing head, but I really enjoy history and more to the point, quirky little things in history that cause major changes about things. So originally, racing started not with cars, but with bikes, early motorcycles, bicycles, and what they started out was it was called board track racing, and it started in France actually with bicycles, and they would race in things called velodromes. And
was that before juicing, like Lance Armstrong?
Yes, much before, actually. I think they might get a little juiced before the race, but in different terms, of course. So what
they would have had to, because it was super dangerous.
Yeah. The main idea was that it was almost a death sport, and what would happen once it graduated past bicycles into motorbikes, the early forms of motorbikes, they would race on Indian 8s. And so in the early 1900s,
what are Indian 8s?
It's an early type of motorcycle. I don't know if you ever saw that movie, The Last Indian, or basically it was an early war. I think if I get my history right, in World War I, they were part of what was used to transport soldiers and especially messengers from the front lines back to HQ and things like that. So the idea being it was a steady model of a motorcycle. It was something that was very sought after. It was the style of motorcycle to own at that point in time. And so they would race them. A lot of times they'd be indoor or in these velodromes that they called them, and it was basically a curved track, an inclined track made out of 2x4s lined end to end. And
what?
Exactly. So okay. So they would go around in a circle, many laps at a time, and it was a race. And it was like early football, where they had leather helmets and no real body gear. It was the epitome of danger at that point.
Wow.
So there was an early phenom in this game called Eddie the Cyclone Hasha, and he came up.
Sounds like MMA.
Eddie the Cyclone Hasha, this Sunday in the velodrome.
That's what I'm saying, man. How can you not be interested in something like that, you know? So I'm reading this story, and it actually, I'm from New Jersey, and this...
Sorry.
I am, actually. I am sorry, too. As much as I love New Jersey, and pardon me, all of my people there, but I moved away for a reason, and so did all of you. So actually, funny turn of events. This guy, Eddie the Cyclone, came out of Texas, was beating everyone. He was the early phenom. He was the Kobe Bryant of board track racing at the time. So he makes his way
including the rape, by the way.
Oh, we don't know anything about that. So he made his way to the West Coast, and he actually, there was an early velodrome in Redondo, up on top of the escarpment in Playa Vista. There was an early velodrome up there, and he had beaten all of the West Coast circuit guys, and so he headed back east to race the East Coast guys, and he was head-to-head against the East Coast circuit's top guy. They were racing through this... basically, it happened down on the beach near Atlantic City area, and as they're going through the race, Eddie falls into the back, and he guns his motorcycle, pulls it out at the top, and it starts to fish out on him. Basically, fishing out his back tire starts to go a little. Basically, the torque starts to head over where he can handle it, and the bike careens off up the incline into the stands. As the way that the stands were set up, people would look over the edge of the stands into the racetrack. And as this bike careens up over the edge of the stands, it kills 2 kids immediately, actually decapitates them right at the side of the track. The motorcycle bounds out.
Yeah, that's funny.
It bounds out into the crowd, and actually, as an action of it continuing to the throttle was stuck on full. It runs back into the track, and the guy. So Eddie, the Cyclone, dies in the immediate crash. It kills 2 more kids on the way out of the actual track, and on this motorcycle actually makes its way back into the track and kills the last guy in the race. So
it's like a Shakespearean play where everybody dies.
Pretty much.
Moral of the story.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, it was the headlines of the day.
No pun intended.
Yeah. The headlines of the day were 4 dead in the Murderdrome.
Wow.
Thus the keynote and chorus line in the song. And me being from Jersey, moving to the South Bay in California, and needing some badass topic matter for a song, we came up with this one, and we kind of dig it.
Yeah, that's I don't even know that's an amazing story. Oh my God.
Tell him how old the guy was.
19. 19 years old, this guy.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
It's an amazing story.
Wow. So, NASCAR fans.
Yeah, serious story.
We want to sit up front. Yeah, thin the herd. Okay. Wow.
So, yeah. Songs have to come from somewhere, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm like, all right, where do you go from there? All right, the obvious thing. Lance. So let's talk a little. Let's talk a little bit about, because the mention has been made, not only tonight but previously, about what sort of a, frankly, badass, kick-ass drummer that you are, and you are. Sit over there with your modesty all you want. I'm going to call bullshit because I know better. So let's talk. I mean, how long you've been playing for? What, since in the womb? Your mom was like, "He's not just kicking; he's doing it in time. Would you tell him to stop?"
Yeah, I'm gonna age myself. Seriously, it's been a long time. 40?
40 years?
Yeah, about 39 years I've been playing. It's crazy.
So you started when you were 2. That's awesome, man.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I got your back.
My grandkids are listening to this.
So why drums?
You know, I have no idea. Family friend, you know, back in Hawaii, I saw the guy playing drums, and I kept sitting at the kit playing it. My mom kept coming over going, "Hey, get off that. Stop playing that."
So you still don't listen.
I say, okay. Every 10 minutes I'd be back there still playing, and that's, you know, from then on I've always wanted to play drums, and just kept doing it. Kind of started when I was about 13, I guess, playing the kit. Yeah.
That's when I started playing guitar. I hear that.
Yeah.
So who were the guys? When somebody says, so who's the great drummers?
Everyone that knows me is going to know this answer. You know,
Ricky Rocket.
I don't have to say any more. After Ricky Rocket, Jeff Porcaro. That was it.
Right.
Every day coming home from sophomore year of high school, played the first 2 Toto albums, both sides. You know, for you kids out there, both sides is a record, LP, vinyl. That's what I was playing to. That's how long I've been playing. Yeah, seriously, played those. Jeff Porcaro's my guy. Always will be.
Yeah.
There's other influences, but I gotta just say that guy, Jeff Porcaro and Steve Gadd, is probably about it. Maybe Somebody Rich.
Bonham?
Yeah, later though.
Yeah?
Honestly, yeah. It took me a while to understand Bonham and appreciate him, and now, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was fine. I had sort of the same thing with always sort of hearing him as, you know, sort of he had like the groove and the backbeat, but then it was really later when I was really studying music that I began to notice, oh shit, he's playing funk. It was like
super
it wasn't
laid back, super powerful,
and even just the subtlety and things on this
pocket. I think all the great drummers have their own pocket. That, maybe people can't feel it, but to emulate it,
right?
Almost impossible. That's what I feel about Jeff Caparo. Yeah, very subtle, but super solid. He had his own sense of time, just like Bonham.
No, I agree. I think as soon as you... In fact, it is in fact that having your own personal sense of where the beat lies and where you feel rhythm. And that actually, I just had an interesting idea. I wonder what it'd be like to find out how somebody's actual heartbeat is attached to how they find rhythm, no matter what instrument they're playing or how they place a vocal or something. But is there a connection between how you create that musical art? And let's face it, rhythm is a huge part of that. Is there a connection that actually lies in where your pulse lies?
There actually is. There's studies that have been done on that. There's
shit. I'm late again. God damn it!
Specific heart rhythms actually lead to certain states of mind and actually meditative trances, things like that. There's a actually really strong theory about the rhythmic importance of what's the place in England, the Stones, the Circle of Stones, Stonehenge. That place. Yeah.
Stonehenge.
That it was meant to be
You mean our stage prop?
Yes. The small one.
17 inches.
Yeah. Danger of being crushed by a dwarf.
So there was something tied in with Stonehenge.
Yeah, the idea is that it's an actual echo chamber, and that at elevated heartbeat rhythms, it actually reverberates and causes a feedback loop that actually will in turn elevate your heart rhythm even further, causing what could be called psychotic behavior, transcendent behavior. The ideas being that it can bring you to a different place, my friend.
Wow. So yet another reason to go, or maybe not to go, to Stonehenge. All right, so we are actually heading back down to the last bit of time we've got. We're gonna play one more track here off of Jupiter Ignition's CD. What do you guys think? Are we doing the Healer? Are we doing Lip Service? Should we play them both at the same time and see what that sounds like?
Maybe we should go to Lip, because we might have something going on with this song soon.
Well, then let's play the track and we'll talk about
video
it.
game wise. You might be hearing that on a video game soon. We're hoping.
So this is Lip Service, once again by Jupiter Ignition, and possibly on a PlayStation near you. Talk to you in a moment.
whistling of the waters drags you under. And now I see you running in, and still you wait, burning down your days like it never be too late. No, still you wait, taking your sweet time. You got the right to bleed. Just don't take all that you see. We get so much more than we need. Whoa, then there's nothing left to We've got the right to lead. Just don't take all that you see. We get so much more than we need. Whoa, then there's nothing left to give. We've got the right to lead. Just don't take all that you see. We get so much more than we need. Whoa, that there's nothing left to give.
Yeah, so that was Lip Service by Jupiter Ignition. So we are coming down to the tail end, and while we have sort of worked our way around the room, oh my God, it keeps going to the left. No, it's time. It's time to talk to Tony, because Tony is the secret weapon. He's the unsung hero. For example, yeah. So you take a look at a bunch of the artwork that's on the CD cover, and you take a look at any of the merch. You're kind of the guy behind that, aren't you? Tony is also a mute.
He said yes.
In fact, Tony will speak, Lance will translate. It'll be in English, but you also, okay, so you play bass. He nods yes.
I play bass, I play drums, I do graphic design, I do the website, and actually Magic Box.
Okay, so speaking of, so once again, while we're on this, the Jupiter Ignition website is
www.jupiterignition.com.
I'm glad that you guys kept it tricky. That was good. And Magic Box is also MAJIK. BoxUSA.com. There you go. You can speak into that mic too, because that one's working better. So
for this album, actually, JB came up with the idea, and I just
that's he just gave me the idea. I executed it. Thank you, Thomas Edison. Somebody just said it'd be nice if it was brighter in this room, and I came up with the light bulb. Okay.
No,
by the way,
you give Tony an idea, and yeah, I mean, he's like super humble, man. Yeah. It's hard to get him to admit to how talented he is, but you know, we give him a germ of an idea and he runs with it, and it always comes back a little bit better than what you expected, and you just go, wow.
Mm-hmm. Well, good for you. And I know that we don't have to get into it, but I know that you've had there's been some health issues that you had to deal with. I remember hearing about it and was thinking about you, and I'm really glad to see that you're rebounding and that you're doing well. And it's nice to see that you're up and back and playing and everything. I'm not only a fan of your music, but I'm a fan of you as a person. And I remember hearing about that and being hopeful and moved by it. And I'm really glad to see that everything is turning out well for you. So good thing.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely, my brother.
I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get back into music, and I'm grateful that I was able to.
Yeah, no, I'd worried about that for you, because if anything, that's like a lifeline for you. It's like, okay, let me,
He was a trooper, man. He got back on the horse so fast, and it was amazing to all of us that I don't think I would have been able to do it as quickly as he did.
Yeah, if people don't realize, last July, or actually 2 Julys ago.
It's over a year.
Yeah, so Tony had an episode where he had an extreme case of vertigo, lost his hearing in one of his ears, and he's never gotten it back. And we kind of had our own Def Leppard kind of moment, man. We weren't going to waver. We were going to stick by Tony whenever he was ready, but he came back pretty quick, and he's still dealing with it, but, he's dealing with it
admirably.
Yeah, seriously. And we've been doing shows with no ill effects from what we can see. We just set up a little bit differently so he can hear us better, and we just went on, and he just never complained, man.
Wish I could say that about my kids. All right, so we are about to run out of time here. So real quick, what are you guys working on next?
We're in the studio. We're getting ready to record about 6 new songs that we have.
Might even have 8 by the time we go in.
Yeah,
we've got a couple of new ones that we're really working on yet.
Yeah, so heading back to it, getting back on the horse, man. Just doing some more stuff, doing what we love.
Very cool. Well, so everybody out there, by all means, go to their website, JupiterIgnition.com. Again, guitar players, check out Magic Box USA. Check out what's going on there.
Origin Guitars.
Origin Guitars as well, absolutely, especially if you have a trust fund. There you go. I'm a believer. And let's see, is there a Facebook page to like? Is there a Twitter account to follow?
Jupiter Ignition, basically across the board. You can find us anywhere. Just type that in, you'll come up with something.
And Brian, thanks so much for doing this. This was super fun, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys coming out. Look, I have no show without great guests, and you guys are absolutely great. Aside from friends and compatriots, you've been phenomenal guests, and it's been absolutely my pleasure to have you and talk about you guys and what you're doing, and help get more people to get their ears around it, because you need to. Not enough great rock and roll out there as far as I'm concerned, and the more you hear stuff like this, I think the happier you're going to be. I know that I am.
Oh, thanks, brother.
So
Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. So once again, this has been another episode of American Psycho. I have been, always will be your host, Brian Crow. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We will see you next week. We don't know who the guest is going to be. We don't know what they're going to say. And frankly, fuck it. We don't care. It'll be a good time either way. Look forward to having you back. And we will see ya.
Excite! Hey!
There you go.
Radio!
And up for the technology.
Hey, Ricky! You're so fresh! So fresh, Ricky!
We'll talk about that next week.
I love what you're doing.
That's all for this week. Join us again as the journey continues on American Psycho. Until we meet again, stay tuned for Liquor and Poker, coming up next on Excite Radio, your source for the best in original shows.
Down away.